insurance is in the house today, and we got Monica and Sonia today.
Did you turn
and,
your camera on?
I did.
Okay.
So it's all.
I got my
good.
one job done.
What do we got? What do we got today?
Well, we have a hot topic to discuss, and we talked about it before, but it's getting even more so, and it has to do with the increased cost of construction.
Yeah, because it is. It's a little bit expensive now.
It is. It's to the point of being insane.
Yeah, there's, I've been reading a couple of things, and I've read anywhere 20 to 30% increases
My goodness.
on materials. But well, you know, Brad now, who lives in Galveston, was telling us, we were talking about plywood, and he said down there plywood's over $100 a sheet.
Oh my goodness.
In Lubbock, it was 60 something, 65, I think.
Yeah, it was 50 the last time I looked, but that's been months ago.
Yeah, we were discussing it yesterday, and you know, I've seen it that high like during hurricane season and different stuff like that. And of course, around the coast, it's going to be more, especially as we're getting closer to that crazy weather. But yeah, it's
Inflation is definitely set in on the construction and lumber industry.
So if you're going to ask, what does that have to do with insurance? We are so glad you asked that question.
What does it have to do with insurance?
Oh, there's
I bet I know.
Well, there's a couple things, a couple big things.
Yeah.
The first one is thinking about replacing your building, whether it's your home, your commercial building, whatever piece of property that you have insurance on. If it were burnt to the ground, a tornado took it out, if it was gone tomorrow, what would it cost you to rebuild?
And you're not just looking at your materials, but your labor, which if you know anything, I mean,
That's another.
burger flippers are getting $15 an hour now. So
Right.
a guy who actually has knowledge in construction is worth a whole lot more too.
Yeah.
So if you know, so what would it cost, and then how much insurance do I carry on that piece of property? Because whenever I took the insurance out, the replacement cost was $150,000. Today it's $200,000, but I still just have $150,000. So that's the first thing to think about, is that if you had to replace your building, or you have enough insurance to do
So
that.
you need to reevaluate.
Yes, you need to be having that conversation with your agent. And what do I have this insured at? What value? Because the replacement cost that you have right now will not pay to replace
All right, now
what you've got.
when we speak of this, this got to get me to thinking. You know, we're talking about buildings here, but my gosh, there could be all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Can I throw an example in?
Sure.
This is a perfect example because I'm right down middle of a big construction project, and I have locked gates, and I have all kinds of stuff wrapped around, chains wrapped around equipment and everything else, because all of those materials are worth so much money.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And you will be surprised. I've seen it myself. A whole unit of 2x gone overnight. A whole unit of, shingles, a pallet of shingles gone. I mean, they pull up and you come back and it's gone.
Yeah, it was nothing when Rick and I were kids and we would steal the materials to build a fort.
Yeah.
But nowadays,
it's bigger
it's
still.
a felony.
Now they're not stealing onesie twosies. It's a whole thing. They're gone. And so
that's your first thing you need to think about, is, am I carrying enough insurance to replace this? Yeah, okay. Then there's the whole another thing. And this goes by different terms. One of them's co-insurance, one of them's insurance to value. It's called different things, but almost every property policy has a clause that requires that at the time of the loss, the limit of insurance that you carry is a certain percentage of the replacement cost. Okay, so and if it's not, then you could suffer a penalty if you have a claim. So say, to make it really easy, I bought the insurance, it's $100,000. It would really cost $200,000 to replace it. If I have a loss, I'm only going to get 50% because I'm 50% underinsured. And that was oversimplification. There's more things that go into that factor.
Oh, wow.
So that's your second thing. Is the first one is, do I have enough insurance to rebuild this? And second, am I meeting my insurance to value requirement of my property policy?
Wow. Never thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't all have the clause, but most of the time they do. So it's something you really, really need to talk to your agent about.
Yeah, because even stuff that's been around for a while, you might have built it a few years ago for $50,000. Now it's going to be $500,000.
I've got friends that
Yeah.
have been paying for insurance for 15 years and they've never stopped. The payment comes out of their bank. They never question it. It's just automatically done. They just do it. And I had a conversation with a friend and he said, "Oh, I hadn't thought about that." I said, "You need to be having that conversation." We're not his agent, but I said, "You need to be having that conversation."
For
Seriously.
sure, 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, how you're gonna try to rebuild a modern day value $200,000 home, and you're only gonna get 50,000
Yeah.
from your
Yeah.
insurance.
Then what? Yeah.
You're
So-
and you still owe
Your
A mortgage.
your mortgage.
Yeah.
And you know, there's things that you can do on especially on the commercial side. For example, say that you have a building that was originally built as a bank, and it has a safe and it has all this stuff, but that was 100 years ago, and now you're using it as the feed store. Okay, so you know, because that's actually a real example of something that's happened. You wouldn't rebuild a bank, but you have to have that addressed on your policy before a claim. There's endorsement for that. It's called functional replacement cost, which means if I lost this building and I replaced it, I would replace it for the function I'm using it for.
Okay.
And so, but you don't get to say that after the claim.
Yeah.
It's too late. So
Yeah, I mean, I know an instance of a place that was a feed store. Now it's a wedding venue.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's ways to address, because you know, people that are listening are probably be like, well, I wouldn't build back, or I wouldn't build the same thing back. That is fine, but you need to address it in your policy now, not after a claim.
After a claim,
So,
it's going to be up a creek then.
yeah.
All right, well, how do folks get hold of you guys to ask y'all questions on how to get this stuff? Because I'm telling you, this is a conversation you seriously need to stop and have with your agent.
Yeah, and we don't bite. I promise.
Yes.
Not hard.
Not not hard. Only once.
If you try to take Sonia's diet down,
Oh,
that's
they're gonna be in trouble.
There.
They can call us or come see us at the second floor of the Sierra Bank Building in Graham or Hudson Oaks. That's 2950 Fort Worth Highway, Suite 500, and there's lots of good places to eat around there if you come around lunch. Or you can call us at 940-549-2525
Or online.
or online at
Brian.
BrianInINS.com.
Brian with the Y.
Right, wow. In business over 100 years now. All right, make it happen. All right, ladies, thank y'all for coming by and visiting with us.
Thank you.
That's a great subject, too, because people really need to reevaluate their insurance because, I mean, inflation has really drove it up. So be ready for it. All right,